It has been argued that while oil has conventionally been considered a curse for the Nigerian economy, oil itself is not the problem, but the management of these resources. Which brings me to the point that the state of infrastructures and its continued decay in Nigeria has remained a matter of great concern, stemming from the fact that infrastructural functionality plays a pivotal role in the socio-economic well-being of the populace and the overall growth and development process of the economy. It is on this premise that discussing the effect of continued infrastructural decay on Nigeria's socio-economic development is important. I am Olujoke Mosako on Let's Talk, and my guest is Barrister Gani Ogunsanwo Esquire, attorney and principal partner, Gani Ogunsanwo and Co. Gulf Chambers. But before we dive into the program proper, I'd like to remind you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you so much, Barrister Gani, for coming on the show again. All right, so how would you explain the state of the nation socio-economically?
To start with, let me start with some preliminary issues. First and foremost, what is things that make socio-economic power of a nation? These are the things we call basic infrastructures and facilities put in place by government. Infrastructural facilities are those basic physical and organizational structures and facilities such as buildings, roads, water, communication network, transportation, health services, and so on and so forth, put in place by government or needed for the operation, smooth operation of the society and the business, world in the country. So, in simple and summarized way, we can say that is the basic definition that ought to be in the country. But if you now ask me that, can we now say that those basic, infrastructures are in place in Nigeria? I cannot tell you categorically that those things are actually readily available in Nigeria. And if you ask me why, I will tell you three things. Three things. One, the problem of massive corruption in public service is there. We are battling with massive corruption in the public service. That's one. Number two, lack of accountability and transparency on the part of leaders or governments. Let me use that word. That's another problem. Then, if we move further from there, you recall that, let me take the issue of corruption briefly. You recall that in 2006, the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the person of Mr. Nobu made press conference where he declared that from their investigation, about 64 trillion naira had been taken away from Nigerian government coffers. And at that time, even after that time, in 2008, the federal government's national budget was just about 2.45 trillion naira, 4.97 trillion naira. That's 64 trillion naira we have on the Nigerian economy. For somebody, a group of people, to take it from national coffers elsewhere without the knowledge of the government. So, what we are seeing is that 64 million, even if it's the naira, will have covered Nigerian national budget for 30 years. From mathematical, calculations and experts' opinion, that money at that time would have taken care of our national budget for nothing less than 30 years. Now somebody stole it away. So to establish that the Nigerian problem, arising from lack of infrastructural facility or infrastructural decay, was the revelation that was made after that. EFCC had to launch serious and massive litigation against some ex-governors involving Abia State, where there was an allegation of criminal conversion of not less than 5 billion naira. From Abia State alone. Apart from that, let us come back to Taraba, where I served. But 1.3 trillion naira was also missing. The same thing, Jalingo, the same thing, Plateau, Enugu, about 5.3. You will realize, you agree with me, that Taraba is a century behind civilization. Everywhere was still bushy, everywhere was, like a typical village. And that is where, nothing less than 1.3 million naira is missing. Trillion, not even trillion was missing. So the aftermath of that was that their states were in shambles and state funds were being taken to foreign countries. So what now confirmed that to Nigeria was the visit of Lord Mayor of United Kingdom in 2008 to Nigeria when he came to Abuja, and he told, in a press conference, that UK government through judicial panel were able to recover 40 billion, being part of the money illegally stolen away from Nigeria to UK, and that they also recovered $150,000 from Chief Darie, Darie of Plateau State, the former governor of Plateau State. $150,000 was recovered from him, and he said he has given the check to Attorney General. As at that time. So these are money that were meant to develop Nigeria economically, infrastructural, and so on and so forth. It's been stolen away by public office holders. So that was after Chief Darie and some other governors were arraigned in Nigeria, and they were convicted by Nigerian judiciary. So I give it to Nigerian judiciary with that regard for taking the audacity to convict those ex-governors. But what do we see? Nigerian judiciary took the boldness to convict them. Now executive is granting them pardon, meaning that what they have done, the colossal damage they've done to Nigerian infrastructure, doesn't mean anything in as much as party interest is protected. So as of today, Nigeria could not be boast of basic infrastructural facility because of massive corruption in the public service. But we are talking of roads. There's no roads sufficient enough to put our market in the proper shape, to put business men in proper shape, to put companies in proper shape.
Okay, I would like to cut you there so that we can go further to the next question. Now, what is the yardstick in differentiating between developed, developing, and underdeveloped?
There's what we call town and country planning, where the society, before people will migrate to a particular aspect, the government will have planned it, what we call urban and regional planning here. Government will have done the necessary road networks. The government will have installed the necessary electricity. The government will have done the necessary infrastructure, such as building, before people will now occupy the area. But here in Nigeria, there's no plan for urban and regional areas from the part of the government. People use their money to buy land, to build house without approved building plan. People use their money to tap lights. People use their money to get generator just to make sure that their business functions, their office functions. And the aftermath of that is that some of these things they acquire on their own, like digging borehole to get water, getting generator from foreign countries, they will add up the expenses to their production costs. And the implication is that the Nigerian masses will have to buy things at exorbitant price. Just recently, the federal government declared that they've spent 1 trillion naira on electricity alone. But the question is, from 1999 that the democracy came into Nigeria up to today, can we say there's any slightest improvement or difference between electricity supplied in 1999 and 2022? The answer is no. There's no significant improvement between 1999 up to today. It's still epileptic. People still live in a community for months without electricity. So in developed countries, they put structures in place to guarantee lives and properties. In developing countries, such structures are not in place as a result of corruption. So lives and property are being exposed to dangers. In developed countries, they appreciate life. They can't afford to lose one citizen. But in developing countries, people are dying as a result of minor issues. Imagine ordinary mosquito bites. So in developed countries, electricity is very important. I recall a lecturer of mine traveled to Germany many years back, and he called me, told me they were celebrating 37 years of uninterrupted power supply in Germany. That was way back many years now. So can Nigeria celebrate uninterrupted electricity in Nigeria for 1 month? The answer is capital no. So the difference between developed country and developing countries is far is just the space, this distance is between heaven and earth. Particularly if we consider the socio-economic of Nigeria, where the government cannot provide the basic capacity to enhance economy. Basic capacity to enhance economy. What are those things? Electricity, water, roads, transportation, telecommunication. Nigerian government cannot provide those things as at today. In fact, shameful enough, these political leaders still travel abroad on medical checkup, as if they are shameless human beings. So what do we call that? Admitting on their own, they are admitting that there is no infrastructure in Nigeria to take care of them by traveling out of the country. They will even announce that they are going for medical checkup. To tell you that the Nigerian infrastructure is in a deplorable condition.
Okay, for decades, Nigeria has remained a developing nation. Let's break down reasons why Nigeria is finding it difficult to move to the next level.
Another factor militating against Nigeria as a country to go to the next level. Lack of electricity alone, 800 companies folded up in Nigeria, unemployment. And when there's unemployment, the next thing, people who are unemployed will take up arms violently. And once the youth take up arms violently, what happens? Armed robbery will be the order of the day. Kidnapping will be the order of the day. And once armed robbery, kidnapping is the order of the day, what happens? Security will be porous. Lives and property will be exposed to danger. No country whose security is porous can go to the next level, as you have asked me. We come to such environment to invest. The level will not be achieved as a result of insecurity, as a result of menace of crimes. Those companies that folded up, they folded up in Nigeria. Some of them relocated back to South Africa. Some of them relocated back to Ghana. Look at Ghana here. Ghana in the 70s, Ghanaians were in Nigeria working for our forefathers as laborers. But what do we see now? Is the song that we sang for them then, that Ghana must go. is now Nigeria must do in their country. So I have not seen that hope coming unless Nigeria as a country can adopt three things. One, checks and balance should be adopted by the government in Nigeria. Checks and balance to the extent that a political party that will dominate the lawmaker, the Senate, both the lower and the upper chambers, should be different from a party that will occupy executive arm of the government, so that they can have the true independence to check one another. But in as much as we model up everything, the same party that will control executive is the same party that will control the National Assembly, there will still be problem in Nigeria. Because one of the key words, key terms that enhance and establish corruption in Nigeria is man no man, what they call long legs, what they call kickbacks, what they call shake body. You imagine you walk up to a ministry, you want something from them, tell your guy, you know, go shake body. The minister, you not drop something. And if you don't drop, believe me sincerely, your file, your letter will be dropped somewhere. Nobody will attend to it. And because you don't want anybody to frustrate you or delay your project, you want to quickly play along, and which is a given crime. Because it takes two to tango. The one that collected the bribe is already, indicted, and the one that gives is also indicted. It takes you to tango. So for Nigeria to move forward, there should be checks, proper checks and balances. Then not only that, there should be provision for private-public partnership, sincere private-public partnership.
Now let's quickly go on this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, the program is Let's Talk on DNTWOK. And I've been speaking with Barrister Gani Ogunsanwo. Is very much around, and the topic has been on the effect of the continued decay in Nigeria socio-economically. So let's continue from where we stopped. Thank you so much for standing by. To what extent is infrastructural decay as it affects transportation, housing, electricity, and so on? I know you made mention of some of these things while you were talking earlier, but I would want us to actually expatiate further.
The extent of infrastructural decay can even be assessed through the comments made by the Lord Mayor, Mr. Lewis, United UK representative in Nigeria in 2008, when he was asked the same question. He said it will require $500 billion to fix infrastructural decay in Nigeria. That tells you the extent of that decay in Nigeria, infrastructural decay in Nigeria, the money that will be required to fix back infrastructure in Nigeria. So, you see, it is so sad that money meant to put all these things in place were being carted away by public office holders to foreign countries with impunity. Even when they were arrested, arraigned, and convicted, the government of the day still have the audacity to grant them pardon. When people could not travel from one state to another without road accidents, they cannot travel from one community to another settlement without dangers on the road. People were being attacked on the road, people have been killed on the road because there's no facilities to monitor those movements by the government. People recently boarded the light rail in Nigeria. They were attacked on the road. So many people were still in the den of the kidnappers because government lacks capacity, facilities to monitor the train while moving. So that's gone are the days. We even have government vehicles in our state. Now, it's only Lagos State that was able to put what they call BRT on the roads for populace. Even the BRT is not properly monitored. So there's lack of in Nigeria in all facets of our life. If you talk of hospital, it's seriously lacking. I can't recall when I saw a brand new car last in this country. The so-called Tokumbo is even more, what we are using is even worse than Tokumbo now. Or people, the taxi drivers just get one rickety car from nowhere and put it on the road. And the road is messed up. It's flames. So these are the things that the extent cannot even be quantified. Cannot, because go to our hospital, they have, in fact, the doctors have gone on strike severally. Why? Because no facilities to enhance their job. How much more government to provide capacity to enhance the economy? If the Nigerian populace continue to be cowardized, afraid to say the truth, then the promised land we are yearning to visit may be a dream that will never come to reality.
Okay. So where is Nigeria heading to with all of this when the neighboring country like Ghana is fast becoming a pace setter in every way?
Yes, for me, I want to believe sincerely that there is hope in every situation. There's hope, yes, there's hope in every situation. For instance, if Nigeria can be consistent about policy making, policy implementation, there's hope for Nigeria. And not only that, like I mentioned earlier, if Nigeria can adopt proper checks and balances, separation of powers, true independence being given to each arm of the government, like for many years now, we have been talking about judicial independence, true independence of judiciary. If this can be granted to each arm of the government, Nigeria is heading towards the promised land. If Nigerian government can promote through public-private partnership that a electricity company that will power Abuja will be different from electricity company that will power Ogun State, and the one of Ogun State will be different from Enugu, so that they can create healthy competitions. In fact, there's nothing wrong if a local company is given Abuja to power electricity and a foreign company is given Lagos State to supply electricity, so that they can be competitions. Until when government provides that enabling environment that will promote healthy competitions, then to get to the promised land may be difficult. So if Nigerian is not to head to a doom, all these steps have to be taken urgently. And those courts, those convicts or convicted by judiciary should be allowed to spend their lifetime in jail. We should not grant amnesty to looters, people who looted our money and make our children to suffer abject poverty. Like I told you, once a company has to provide for itself to produce, the cost of products will be on the high side. So Nigerian poor masses, we have to get things at the exorbitant price. That's not the kind of Nigeria we dream. We want the kind of Nigeria that people, education can be stress-free, where housing can be made available for citizens, where health services can be made available for citizens, especially the pregnant women who are dying on a daily basis, the children. We want kind of Nigeria that electricity can be part and parcel of our daily lives, not a Father Christmas gift that it will come once in a while and everybody will shout out, never. I'm taking, well, Nigerian future will be worthy of celebration, but otherwise, I doubt it. I doubt it if things should continue like this.
Thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. It's been indeed a great time with you. Thank you once again. And to Nigerians, I would like to advise each and every one of us to please continue to pray for the nation, because it will definitely work out well. So like Barrister Gani said, I'd like to bring that out. It says, there is need to solve leadership problem and also public-private partnership is also essential. So let's see if this can be done by our leaders, and we'll know how to go from there. Until next time, when I come your way again with another exciting edition of Let's Talk, I remain Oluja Kemusaku. Bye for now.